Today's speaker is from the Third Pole Conservancy, and he'll be giving us updates on snow leopard population surveys in Humla in West Nepal. He'll also be sharing info on opportunities and challenges of a multi-pronged approach that covers human-wildlife conflict, livelihood programs, and forestry efforts. So please welcome Rinzin Phunjok Lama.
Thank you, Alex. Hello everyone. I'm going to present about the snow leopard conservation in Humla. And while speaking about snow leopard conservation in Humla, I will also be trying to cover brief about our work, that we have been doing since 2014. So I will touch base very shortly on our work in other part of Nepal, and then I come back to snow leopard conservation in Humla. So about our journey, so I started forestry back in 2007 with a goal of becoming a forester, and somehow slowly I became involved more in wildlife. And after graduation, the first thing we were doing was starting Palascat in Manang, in Annapurna Conservation Area of Nepal. That was the start of our journey. So while starting Palascat, more than Palascat, we received the picture of snow leopard. So we were doing camera trapping survey, and the maximum footage that we were receiving was from the snow leopard. And and that is how we started with the snow leopard. My aim or my goal, to be a snow leopard biologist or to study snow leopard was before that, but because of the funding and because of other mentoring and other issues, we are not able to do that. However, we started with Palascat, and now we are fully working on snow leopard. So while starting Palascat and snow leopard in Manang, it happened, we recorded the return of the wolves to the valley after 4 decades. And after Manang, after a few years of the project in Manang, at the same time, we also received funding from the Snow Leopard Network to do the first ever snow leopard survey in Humla. So that was back in 2015. In Humla, we did a rapid camera trapping survey of the snow leopard because this Limi Valley, so this is the entire map of Humla. Limi Valley is the most potential area within Humla, so it's close to China border. And we did the rapid survey of snow leopard in this valley, and the funding was supported by the Snow Leopard Network grant. At that time, we tried to do the systematic study of snow leopard. However, because of the logistic issues and terrain difficulties, we failed to implement that. However, we were able to cover, few grids. And we use camera trapping for the very rapid assessment because human presence was already there. So it was not possible for us to leave the camera out in the field for longer time period. So we did the survey for 2-week time period. Within that 2-week time frame, we lost few of our camera. So we have to remove out the camera as soon as possible. And during the survey, we recorded snow leopard in Humla for the first time in camera trap. Snow leopard presence was reported, but there were no evidence, and our camera trap image were the first to present as an evidence that the snow leopard are there in the area. After Humla, we started a very long-term project in Annapurna Conservation Area. So this project was supported by Snow Leopard Conservancy, and the main focus of the project was human snow leopard conflict mitigation. We were piloting different interventions like predator deterrent fox light, predator-proof corral, radio devices. We are trying to pilot different intervention at a small scale, whether it really helps to reduce livestock depredation from snow leopard or not. At the same time, we are also doing monitoring, prey and snow leopard monitoring using camera traps. We did several seasons of the prey survey. It's blue sheep. And then we did camera trapping for 2 seasons to monitor snow leopard. Our main focus was not to estimate the population, but to monitor the female with cubs and cub survival. That was our main goal. we did camera trapping for 2 seasons first, and then in key location, we continued it to the 3rd season. So while working in Annapurna Conservation Area, our priority program were conservation education and awareness raising. So it primarily focused herders and school children, snow leopard and blue sheep monitoring, herders snow leopard conflict mitigation. This was the core of the program, and snow leopard enterprise. So when it comes to snow leopard enterprise, we piloted snow leopard trail, whether it will be feasible to start a snow leopard experience trip in Manang or not. And then we started that in collaboration with Snow Leopard Conservancy and Trial Angel Austria. And last year we had 3 people visiting, and then there was 100% sighting, and that was very exciting. However, our aim was not to guarantee the snow leopard sighting, but to provide the experience, but it's going well so far. And when it comes to herder snow leopard conflict, with the snow leopard, we found that the most serious issue with the snow leopard conservation was herder snow leopard conflict or livestock depredation. And then we focus most of our program around that. Later, since 2019, in collaboration with the University of Göttingen, we did a long-term study. We did 2-year study. It was more focused on research than intervention. We were basically focusing on the effect of wild prey on livestock depredation, and the other thing was effectiveness of different interventions, introducing livestock loss to snow leopard. So with the aim that we recommend some solid ground-based conservation interventions or conflict mitigation measures. This is the publication based on this study. There are other things, like we had a few more publications from these studies, from this collaboration. So it's about blue sheep interventions and the availability of wild prey on snow leopard abundance and livestock depredation. Some of the pictures from Manang, these were photographed during our snow leopard trail program. So coming back to Humla, I started Project Ukali. So the Ukali abbreviate, in full form is called Upper Karnali Landscape Initiative. Humla, my area is located in the upper part of the Karnali catchment, so it's called Upper Karnali region. And with the Rolex Award for Enterprise, I received Rolex Award for Enterprise in 2021. With the funding from Rolex Award for Enterprise, we started Project Ukali in Humla, with a focus on biodiversity conservation, community engagement, and conservation. So the key goal of the Ukali project is to strengthen community-based biodiversity conservation through leadership development, livelihood diversification, and promoting resilient communities. This is the map of the Upper Karnali, our project area, and it's located the west northern part of the Nepal, bordering to China. Most of all the northern areas bordering to Tibet, China. So key component of the project, Ukali is not just about snow leopard. It has a bigger ambitions. It focuses research and monitoring, education and outreach, training and capacity building, livelihood enterprises, and community-based conservation. So among these things, most of the things are revolve around the snow leopard. However, like we try to adopt a diverse aspect of the conservation. When we say about conservation, it's not just about its species; it also has to about the community livelihood and other aspects. So we try to address these things. Of the most important, all these components are important, but the most important thing is the snow leopard itself. How many snow leopard we have in our area? We don't know yet. What is the the status of the wild prey? We don't know. There are like different conservation issues, but before going to the conservation issues, it's more important to have the baseline data on the snow leopard and the wild prey. That is what we are doing now. So the main goal of our snow leopard and prey survey is to establish the baseline population status with snow leopard in Upper Karnali landscape. to assess the population status of wild prey, primarily blue sheep, Himalayan thar, and other ungulates, and to identify the conservation threats and prioritize conservation, like zones or conservation areas, because there are different level of threats in different areas. So we divided the whole project area into 4 blocks. We had 5 blocks. We excluded one now because it was very inaccessible in terms of human resource and landscape. Right now we have 4 blocks, Limi for the north, Namkha, Chang, and Changkheli Valley. Each block is approximately 1,200 square kilometer. And right now, like, we are continuing our survey in Namkha block. So for the research design, we followed PAUSE guideline, and our design is at micro level. And when we were designing our study area, I consulted very closely with Justin, Phunjok, and Ian. They helped me design this grid and how to locate the camera traps and how to distribute the effort and all these things. So I'm doing actually, like all this research design part were conducted in collaboration with Snow Leopard, Snow Leopard network, or GSLIP, or the core PAUSE team. The approach, we are adopting multi-pronged approach to Snow Leopard population estimation primarily. We are doing interview surveys and sign surveys. These are primarily focused on identifying the distribution areas and for occupancy. We are doing camera trapping. And then we are also, at the same time, we are also doing the scat collection. In Humla, camera trapping is a little bit tricky because Humla is one of the highly disturbed areas. Like large number of people, they climb up the snow leopard habitat for medicinal and aromatic plant harvesting. And that is one of the reasons that, like we lose many of our camera trap. And to overcome this kind of issues, we are also doing scat collection for genetic assessment. And for the blue sheep, we are adopting 2 methods. First one is double observer survey method, based on Surveillance et al. 2011. And then the other method we are adopting is transit-based total count of the blue sheep, based on our own paper, Fila et al. 2020. The progress so far, we started our survey in October, and there was a heavy snowfall, and we have to break up for 2 weeks, and then we continued again. And we are starting with the Namkha grid now. So the red one, if you look at the map, you can see the red one are the camera tab locations that, these are the camera we already set out in the field, and we are still continuing. So we are planning to continue to Limi first, and then second, we are continuing towards Chang. And Changkheli, we'll have to wait for the next spring. So we are planning to continue our survey, like until the snowfall. There is no plan to break down now. So we'll continue until the snowfall. This red dot are the camera we already placed out in the field. And these are the transit we use for blue sheep count. And these are also the transit we use for snow leopard sign survey. So in figure, if we look in figure, so far in the last 2 months, we cover 22 grids. So each of our grid is 5 into 5 square kilometer. So this is based on the PAUSE micro design. And we placed 21 camera because one of the grid was highly disturbed. There were human presence, so we didn't put any camera there to avoid the chances of losing camera traps. And we cover more than 50 kilometers in transit for prey count. The challenges, in the second half of the October, there was a heavy early snowfall in Humla, in most of the Nepal. And we couldn't continue with the field work, so we have to break down from the field. At that time, we were just starting our survey, and then we have to break. And we continued after 2 weeks. Still, the snowfall was very heavy, and then for us, it was inaccessible to reach out to higher passes. So if we look at the second picture, this is after the after the break. This was the second lot of the survey, and then the snow was still very dense. and we have to retreat back again and focus on the area where there are less snowfall. And we continued now, and I'm recently back from the field just for this presentation, and we are still continuing. Apart from the snow leopard survey, which is going on now, we are doing different other activities to support snow leopard and biodiversity conservation in Humla. So the core is snow leopard, but the awareness raising and other community engagement activities are also equally important. So we have Ukali podcast. It focuses on different initiatives, local level initiatives, that are supporting conservation. It can be some innovative practices adopted by community forests. It can be about innovative approaches or initiatives by some, community from people from communities. So we are trying to share the stories from Humla region, so that that help us spread out different initiatives and which is supportive to biodiversity conservation. The other important component we have is the school eco club. We have a school eco club in 8 community schools in Humla, which roughly covers around 3,000 to 4,000 students. The goal is to raise interest and and to inform students about conservation from a very young age. So we have school eco clubs. We have committees in each school, in 8 schools, and they are doing different activities related to environment conservation. And in one of the schools, which is further up in the high areas where the snow leopard are more common, so we are planning to do a snow leopard scout program. And apart from these activities, we have a livelihood activities. We are focusing on enterprise development, especially with the herders. In Limi Valley, in Limi block, we are supporting herders with the yak cheese, dry yak cheese production. We are supporting them. We are supporting. They have a yak farm, and then we are supporting with not just funding to for the production of the market-based product, but we are also supporting them, their organizational growth in terms of management, financial management. We are helping them with other capacity building things, like enterprise management, marketing, and other auditing and accounting stuff. So our admin and our account team are supporting with that things. And we have different partners at community level. We are partnering with community forests for prey monitoring, and we have collaborated with 2 youth clubs recently. The goal is to train more local youth and train and produce and promote them as a citizen scientist with a goal of long-term monitoring. So we are establishing 2 field offices, one in Limi and one in Yari. The goal is that we collaborate with the local youth and help them with the wildlife monitoring training and conservation project implementation at a small scale. So maybe in the next 5, 10, 15 years, they are capable of handling a conservation project by their own, and and none of the expert has to go there to train and other things. So that is the goal we are working on now. And we are working with women's group for the handicraft production. It's basically a traditional dress production. And we are also supporting beekeepers. Right now we have a beekeeping research going on. The goal is to support high altitude honey production, and all these things are directed towards biodiversity conservation. So from different level of involving different level of community people, from school children, herders, farmers, beekeepers, and then youths, and bringing all of them together in a common goal of biodiversity conservation in Humla. So this is something we are trying. We are not claiming any big achievement now, but it's going quite well because of all this remoteness, climate things, and not having proper bringing equipment, and everything is becoming a little bit issue, but we are pushing forward from our side, to get the best result as possible. And for our work in Humla is mostly supported by the Rolex Award for Enterprise. So we have support from Leopard Conservancy, Berkman Foundation, and I want to thank Academic Alpine Club Zurich, WW of Nepal for equipment support. And we are implementing our project in collaboration with 2 rural municipalities in Humla, Namkar Rural Municipality and Simikot Rural Municipality. So this is a very brief, I thought I had very little time to prepare, and then I just wrap up in a very quick way. So if there is, so I will be happy more for the Q&A session.
Okay, thank you, Rinzin, for the presentation. And yeah, thank you for preparing it at such short notice. So yeah, if anyone's got any questions, please type them in the chat, or if you're comfortable asking them, you can ask for permission to unmute yourself. In the meantime, I was just going to ask you, Rinzin, where can we find the Ukali podcast? Where can we listen to it?
So we have a channel called Project Ukali in YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I can also share, later. So it's also available in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. And for the visual, available in our official YouTube, Ukali Podcast.
Ukali Podcast, cool. All right, we've got our first question, which is from Bilal. Hi, Bilal. How successful is honey production projects with the community that are ongoing?
Thank you, Bilal. Yeah, this is very interesting. So Humla is one of the area in Western Nepal quite popular for honey production. But what is the quantity? What are the different issues? There is no, like there was 2 decades back, but right now we don't know about all these different practices and issues and all these things. So right now we are more focused on the research part. What is the potential? What are the challenges? What are the issues of honey production in Humla? And then we are also looking at whether it is feasible to promote this as a, like a long-term viable enterprise. That is our plan. So we are doing a survey now. Once we wrap up our research, and then we will be selecting different people to support with the honey production. So that is our aim.
All right. Can you talk a little bit more about the scope of the podcast and what it focuses on?
So, in Humla, the beginning with the community outreach plan, our goal was to adopt the similar approaches that many conservation project does, using poster and then like flipboards and other materials, like to do a community workshop or to do an outreach workshop in the community. But we realize this is effective, but in case of Humla, it's not very feasible because the settlement are very scattered. People don't have enough time to participate in the workshop, and even if we do so, it may this was not very convincing to them, because what people wanted to hear is the story, not when we explain them about the importance of biodiversity conservation, small leopard conservation, wildlife conservation. Not many people, they get the 100% of what we want to say. So, and then from the society, from the working with the community, what we learned was, people are interested in listening to stories, and that we have to adopt new, and we change our strategy that, okay, we would start with the podcast then. We'll bring social leaders, social change makers, innovators, which were not popular, but they have tried different, initiative at the local level. We try to portray those stories and share it out in our podcast. So it's in Nepali, and all the characters are local, all the guests are local, and these local stories are interesting, and people, really like these local stories. So that was the goal of the podcast. So the podcast is not just about conservation. It's about livelihood initiative. It's about cultural conservation initiatives. It's about community forests. It's about plantation and other initiatives. So we try to cover different topics that are somehow related to biodiversity conservation. I will go to Bilal's question first.
Yeah. Do you want to read it, or?
So we haven't. I did DNA extraction in the past, not now. Right now, after we started our survey, because of the snowfall, most of the scat or sign we covered. So we don't have much scat collected now. And we are continuing now. Maybe we will be collecting more scat, after, like in the survey, we are continuing. And we hope to collect more scat in the spring. But we will definitely be doing the DNA extraction.
Cool. Okay. Next question from Sanyik is,
Sanyik,
have you planned to color any snow
I have
leopard?
no plan to radio color snow leopard because I think, like there are enough studies. So those are enough, there are enough information available. And this is also a very expensive and difficult project. So we have no plan now.
Then we have Kenji asking, what about
Yes,
snow leopard
Kenji.
estimations for the Humla district?
So the goal of our survey is to estimate the snow leopard population in Humla district. Definitely, we are going on in that direction, and we are working closely with the Justin, Kutsov, and Ian, so that we align with the PAWS target.
Yeah, and for anyone who doesn't know, PAWS is the Population and Wildlife Survey methodology developed by GSLEP, I think. But yeah, next question.
It's about the Eco Club. Humla, like the area where I come from is the most remote area in Nepal. And this is the area so far not connected to national highway. And we have to still rely on a small tool in order to fly in and fly out. And about the Eco Club, when I grew up here, when I went to, we don't have opportunity to participate in, like interactive programs because and then there are limited opportunities for children to engage in different extracurricular activities. And I thought Eco Club would be a good approach, in different part of other part of Nepal, like this is going quite successful. Why not to try in Humla? So we have an executive committee in each school. And what we do is we develop activities in collaboration with them. And our goal is, like we don't let them do, but, we want to facilitate them to develop program and we support them in education and other things. For example, right now we have a drama competition going on. So we have 8 different themes related to environment and biodiversity conservation. And we distributed this different theme to different schools. Right now, the school children, they are working on the drama. And our goal is, like when we do the community outreach, we will not bring, we will use these dramas for the outreach and education purpose. And this is more interactive. And when the parents see their children doing this kind of things, maybe like it will be easier to reach out to them and to the, like a wider community.
Another question from Sanyik asking, when you say the threat of camera traps being lost, who are the main groups you're worried of? Is it the herders? If not, who?
So in Humla, like Humla is quite populated area actually. And people from different settlement goes to the snow leopard territory, not just for grazing, but also for harvesting, medicinal and aromatic plant. So that is one of the key economic activities of the people. And when we set out camera in the field, like anybody can go there. People are going, they are there, like, and we have no control who is going to where. And then, like it's quite hard for us to find the people who have stolen the camera or who just collected the camera.
Next question is a long one from Pooja, who's asking, for ungulate conservation, did you focus on educating local people about native medicinal plants present in the area? Also, can you tell us what kind of livelihood options are present in that area where communities are residing in the snow leopard habitat?
I think this is quite interesting questions, like, for example, like when we say community-based conservation, when we say community level collaboration, it's not always possible to involve every, every corner of the community. So we try to work with certain people, for example, youth clubs, women's group, or the herders or the community forest people. The first thing we are doing right now is to raise interest in the field of nature conservation, which we don't see, not many people are familiar of. In Humla, livelihood is a bigger issue than conservation. So we have to, we have to look at the priority first and how can we best influence people and adopt that strategy. So right now we are more focused on outreach and capacity building training so that people becoming interested, like youth are interested now, that is very exciting thing. The community forest people are interested. We work with the herders with conflict mitigation. We are supporting herders with, with the equipment, with finance, and that is also somehow support we are receiving, like providing support to our project. We are working with the women's group with skill development training and these things. So we are trying to inform about conservation to this all, different level of people in this community right now. And we don't have specific livelihood options at the moment. We are piloting, we are in the piloting phase. We are piloting different livelihood enterprises, beekeeping, like axis production, handicraft, youth club, and these are our pilot initiative. And we don't know whether this will be viable or this will be successful or not. We are in a very beginning phase now.
Cool. Flavia is wondering if there'll be an English version in the future. She's interested in the podcast, and she's also wondering if you could talk a little bit about the threats to the snow leopard in the area that you found, and also threats to other wildlife.
So, thank you. About the podcast right now is in Nepali, but it's also very locally Nepali. So in Western Nepal, the Nepali version is a little bit different than main Nepali, and we try to find some volunteer for translation, and they could not do it because the way Nepali is spoken here is a little bit different. But we have a plan to translate this, so I think we will be able to provide English subtitle to all our podcasts. That is our goal. And about the threat, the main threat is human snow leopard conflict over livestock depredation is one of the main threat. And apart from that, there is a high level of disturbance, subsistence hunting, forest fire. So different level, not in all area, but different areas have different threat within Humla. And one of the big issue we're facing is subsistence hunting for meat, the subsistence hunting of the snow leopard prey, especially blue sheep. That is one of the big issue we are facing now.
Cool. Another question from Sagnik. Do you think it is possible to negotiate with plant hunters through talks?
Yeah, there are regulations, and government is also working, on this part to minimize the impact of these harvesters on wildlife and the environment. But it's but it's not successful yet because Humla has a vast landscape, remote, no communication. And and it's really hard to monitor the activities. For example, when we go out in the field, it's only my team. There are no other people now. So situation is, and there is no communication. So systematic monitoring is quite challenging. And even if we try to set some rules, and it's not easy or it's not practical to implement out in the field because of lack of monitoring bodies.
Question from Bilal. Are there any thoughts to start trophy hunting of blue sheep?
Actually, trophy hunting, actually, I'm not personally very interested in trophy hunting. I don't really support trophy hunting. So we have no plan for this kind of recommendation. I'm against trophy hunting.
All right. Question from Aliana. Is use of livestock herding dogs popular with the local people as a way to prevent livestock loss?
In the past, when we have lots of goat and sheep in Humla, guarding dogs were very effective. Right now, because of more people moving out to the city areas, this guarding dog practice is becoming less and less. And these guarding dogs are not very effective with yaks, hybrid, and other livestock. It's more effective with the goat and sheep. So this is one of the reason, what you call it, it's really hard to say whether it's effective or not.
Question now from Altanai. Could you please elaborate on why you are not a supporter of trophy hunting in the region?
Yeah, I think trophy hunting might be more successful or more effective in area where monitoring bodies are, more effective, where the governments are capable of managing it properly. In Nepal also we have in Door Partner Hunting Reserve there is a trophy hunting, but there is no carnivore. So the snow leopard is not reported there, and there are no other big carnivores like wolf or like that. So government have certain quotas for trophy hunting, but in case of other protected area where the carnivore density is already high, where the prey is a problem, if we do trophy hunting, maybe we are losing more prey. And the other threat we have is, in the name, like for example, it's really hard to regulate trophy hunting. There is illegal hunting going on already. It's so hard to control it. And when we introduce trophy hunting, maybe it gets negative, message, or it might go in a negative way. That is the issue, because the managing the trophy hunting management and the trophy hunting regulation itself is quite challenging things.
Can you also speak about the tourism program a little bit more? So how it works, if there's a community base for it, participation, and how the community views it.
Yes, with the tourism, we are trying to do a wildlife tourism. We like many people say it's ecotourism, but it's our aim is to focus more on wildlife experience. It's not just to show wildlife, but to provide opportunity. Who wants to join in the field to provide more of the wildlife monitoring and conservation experience. Maybe people may be interested on that things. But about other tourism, Humla is quite remote and it's not very exciting. And we don't receive much tourists compared to Annapurna Conservation in other areas. So in Manang, in Annapurna Conservation areas, the snow leopard sighting, number of people who wants to see snow leopard is more and more now, and that is not the case in Humla. So in Humla, when we say about tourism, ethical tourism is something feasible. People who really wants to support the cause. This is good opportunity. But for mass tourism, who wants to see the mountain, who wants to see the landscape, maybe it's a little bit of the challenge to organize because we have very limited infrastructure for tourists.
Cool. Question from Pooja. Are you planning to start programs for restoration of pastures?
We have no project. We don't have program for the restoration of the pasture, but we are supporting the restoration of the forest. That is more as a part of restoring mock deer population. So we are supporting that. Even in our current program, we have the restoration of the forest.
I had one myself actually. So in the last session last week, Ismail was saying that in Tajikistan, a lot of the communities view the snow leopard negatively. I was just wondering what local communities in Humla, how they view the snow leopard, if it's a pest or if they respect it.
That is very interesting. In Humla, we were doing lots of workshops recently. People's acceptance to snow leopard is better than to wolf. I don't know, And there is also a religious and social, social aspect connected to this. Many people believe snow leopard as a deity, mountain deity. There is a certain segment of the community who still believe snow leopard as a manifestation of pasture god or pasture demigod. The old generation especially, and the younger generation, of our age, they know about snow leopard that is globally threatened. So snow leopard acceptance is good, except some people who are affected, who lose a big number of livestock. For them, they still think snow leopard is good to have, but the problem, because there is a problem they are facing in terms of livestock loss. Otherwise, social acceptance is very good.
Interesting. Thank you. Another question from Sagnik.
Yes, in Humla, we receive lots of. We receive quite good numbers of tourists, not climbing, not for trekking and mountaineering, but for the pilgrimage. People use Humla to travel to Tibet for Mount Kailas and Lake Mansarovar, So it's mostly the Hindu, Jain, and other religion people who go to Tibet for worshiping these holy sites. And Humla is the transit to that. And apart from that, like we still receive some, mountaineers, of course. So recently we had big groups from Switzerland who donate us lots of equipment. We don't in Humla, we don't have big mountains like in Everest or in Annapurna or in other areas like in Nepal. We have a small mountain and only few people comes to climb those. And trekking is not very popular in Humla. Humla is a good land for trekking, but not many people comes because of the logistic issues.
We've got a three-part question. The first one is if climate change is a problem. The second one is, do you worry about trash and if tourism can worsen the issue? And the third one is if dogs are a challenge in the area.
Yes, okay. I think climate change is affecting everywhere, and we are also one of it. There are different problems from the climate change. Glacier lake outburst flood is very common. Changes in the rainfall and other pattern that is affecting livestock husbandry and agriculture, that is also an issue. But specifically the effect of climate change on biodiversity and wildlife, it's hard to say. There should be effect, but we don't have the solid data to support that at the moment. And about the trash, yes, trash is a problem. I think solid waste is a problem everywhere. It's not just from tourism, but locally also, because in Humla, if we go to the higher areas, the beer cans and alcohol bottles are everywhere. So this is a problem, usually in the area close to China, because most of the beer and all these alcohols come from China, and we have issues in this borderlands. And recently, the dog is also becoming a problem. Feral dogs or stray dogs is becoming a problem to wildlife. In the very remote areas where we set camera for snow leopard, there are dogs photographed. And this is, this is issue. We have evidence of dog, chasing blue sheep, chasing mox deer, and other wildlife. So dog is a problem not just in terms of predation, but also in terms of disease transmission.
Grand. Question from Aliana. There are a lot of locals in the area that keep yak rather than small livestock like sheep and goats. Do you see a lot of loss of yak compared to the snow leopard, or not as much because of their size?
So these days, because of the, I'll just touch back with the weather things. In the past, there used to be snowfall, but slowly, right now we get a snowfall, 3-4 feet at a time, and it's a problem with the small stock. And the number of small stock is also going down because of the lack of grazing area. Most of the forests are covered by community forests, and the grazing is restricted in this because of these things. The small stock, particularly goat and sheep number, is just declining. But there are yaks and hybrids in the upper areas, and the mature one, of course, with the snow leopard, they are not capable of killing the mature one, but still the juvenile get killed. During the daytime or even nighttime, in between the autumn and winter, people let it out, for free grazing, and that is also one of the time it get killed. During the spring, when the youngs are also out in grazing, the chances is always there for the predation. It's not just about body size, but I think because of the landscape, wildlife, because of the rugged landscape, it's really hard to keep eye on every livestock, and there is always chances of predation. Body size matter, but with the yak, there is no cases of mass killing like in the goat and sheep, and that is one advantage.
Okay, we have a question in Russian, so I'll read it out. Everyone make sure you have your interpretation on the necessary language. Вы сказали насчет некоторых случаев нападения на домашний скот. Скажите, пожалуйста, как часто происходили такие нападения? И скажите, насколько перевыпас скота влияет на популяцию добычи снежного барса?
That is one interesting question. If we look at the grazing disturbances, there should be disturbance But in Humla, we don't have that data to support it because we are just starting it. I think this is the first time very thorough survey focusing on the blue and snow leopard is going on in Humla for the first time, right? So most of the issues we have, like we have seen it or we have heard people saying about it and we guess it, but we don't have a very solid data to support this. So we will only be able to present this, like details after the completion of the project.
All right, we're coming to the end of the session now. So if anyone has any last questions, send them through. I'll give you a few moments to do that. Any ideas of the snow leopard number in Humla?
In the limit block, which is in the far north, based on our past studies, we estimated the density between 2 to 3 individual, like per 100 square kilometer in a very effective area. So Limi Valley is approximately 1200 square kilometer, and a very effective area is 400 to 500 square kilometer. And that was our guess. That means, like 10, 12 snow leopard in the valley. But apart from that, in other areas, we have no idea. Even it is very hard to guess because based on our recent survey, finding sign was already an issue. And I never experienced like this before. In Manang, in Mustang, in Everest, I work with a snow leopard. It was little easy to find sign, but in Humla, it's quite challenging. I don't know either because whether the number is low or because of the terrain, the terrain, or because the effective area the snow leopard is marking is out of our access or something like that. So we'll only know after the end of the survey.
Cool. And okay, 2 last questions. One from Sagnik asking if you could please say the species of pika that you put up in your last slide.
That was Plato-pica. Yeah, that was Plato-pica.
Plato-pica, yeah, and that answers Nina's question as well. Perfect. Well, thank you, Rinzin. Oh, last question about drones. What's your opinion on them?
I think recently we have a plan to use drone now. Like last time after the snowfall, we tried to do many of the survey, and it was really hard to find the right track because of the snowfall and because of the cliff. So, we were supposed to cross one pass, but it took us 2 days to find the way. So in that case, drone is useful. And other thing is we are also planning to use drone for the transit site, and we are also planning to use drone for prey count.
Right. Okay. I think that's us. So thank you, Rinzin, for the presentation and for the questions as well. And thank you to everyone that asked questions. It's another strong Q&A session that we've had, which is always great because that's what the network is here to do. Thank you also to Shahida for the translation and to Rakhi for organizing the event. Just a quick reminder about next week's session. We've got a speaker from Qilanshan National Park in China, Dr. Yan Lin Yu, who will be talking about his efforts working with different teams on snow leopard population assessments in the Qilan mountain range and the opportunities and challenges associated with that. So yeah, thank you everyone for coming, and hopefully see you next week. Bye now.
Yeah, thank you.